The Unbeknown podcast is streamed live to a twitch.tv audience and is recorded and uploaded as a video on demand via youtube.com. The show is also produced as a podcast available on your favorite podcast platform. The following program is intended for mature audiences and is for entertainment purposes only. Each host is responsible for their own content and comments. However, context is important, and they are attempting to be entertaining. Please assume that any statements made are in brevity and if no offense was ever intended. Please enjoy the show. I know that I know nothing. Perception. Reality. Mysteries of the universe. Universes. Perhaps multiverses. Glimpses of the past, visions of the future, secret, sacred, second lives, untold stories, unseen worlds, cover-ups of government conspiracies. Unbeknown. The show that discusses these things and more. Gives you the chance to take part in the discussion by chatting online or joining in our Skype line. Share your story or stories as a part of the show, or email them in to be told as only we can. As Jim Jam and others before him want to say, I want to believe.
All right. Welcome, guys. Welcome to episode number 2 of the Unbeknown podcast. Yes, episode number 2. We made it, guys. We did it. We got to episode number 2. I feel like that's a huge accomplishment. No one quit yet. Right?
Yeah. No.
Yeti's here. He's just not on the webcam, but yes, Yeti is here. We got Jim Jam as well. How you guys doing?
Yep, I'm here.
I am doing fucking great. I've got some knowledge bombs over here, man. I cannot wait to dig into it.
Oh, man.
It's gonna be fun.
So, if you're not aware, if you didn't tune in last week, shame on you first. Let's go ahead and say that. If you didn't check out our YouTube channel, The Unbeknown Podcast on YouTube.com and watch our first episode, then you might not know that this week we're going to be covering Project Bluebook, and I'm looking forward to it as well. Before we do that, let's just kind of, reintroduce ourselves. My name's Aaron. I got Jim Jam over here. How's it going, Jim?
Jim Jam here.
What's been up with you, man? What's the news? What's going on in your world?
Sweating like a pig.
Yeah, I know a little bit about that. I've
No,
seen
you
it.
don't.
I've seen it.
Well, you've seen it, but you didn't experience it.
I looked through this window from my nice air-conditioned office, and I see you out there, and you're sweating for sure.
Like I got a new the Unbeknown podcast T-shirt, which you can get at TeePublic.
Why aren't you wearing that? I figured you'd be sporting it today.
Well, my daughter does the laundry, and she's not very good at it, and it has not got washed yet, and it has sweat rings all on it because it was soaking wet from me sweating like a
whore at church. I'm telling you, man. I asked you the other day. I was like, "Hey, you been out in that rain?" What'd you say?
Yeah, no, that's me sweating. It was fucking.
But yeah, that shirt does look sharp, man. It looks real good. I'm gonna actually go out and get one, hopefully this week, and take care of that. I'm looking forward to that and sporting it next week. So until then, I'm just Scott Pilgriming it up. So, but yeah, Yeti, how's it going, man?
Oh man, really good. I've spent the last few days just fucking knee deep in serial killers and aliens and fucking government cover-ups. And oh man, it's been rough. I think I've become almost insufferable over the past few days, but
Right.
Between trying to mesmerize Amish people and my fucking long-winded. What?
So you ought to hear that story.
Oh man.
What we doing with the Amish? What are you doing to them Amish people? They just try to get by, riding their bicycles.
No.
Well, there's an Amish market that I can't disclose the location of.
Fair enough.
And my wife drug me out there all early in the morning because they don't have air conditioning because they're Amish and it's hot and I'm fat. So, that's how you get me out of bed in the morning. And she promised me that there would be ghost peppers and zucchini bread, so I might as well get up and go. So I went, and I mean they got produce and they got baked goods and all of it's just like one thing about the Amish, man, they make some bomb ass food.
I got nothing else to do. I mean, I'm surprised. Yeah. I mean, and they work so hard too. I guess they have to.
Yeah,
anyways,
they put a lot of love and pride into everything they make, and they make such good stuff, and the prices are fucking phenomenal. But I'm a little tight-fisted, so I thought maybe we could get a little extra discount. So I figured since they're not a technologically knowledgeable people, that I could easily mesmerize them. You know how like when you see shows where some people they go to a place and they have like a fucking a lighter and then the natives are like, oh, they make fire. Or if you've seen fucking Army of Darkness where Ash busts out that gun and he becomes king. You know what I'm saying? This is my boomstick, motherfuckers.
Yeah, right.
Well, I took my wife because I care about her safety. She carries a stun gun in her purse, and I'm big on personal defense. You know what I'm saying? And guns are just kind of a thing that not right now. But so she's got a stun gun at the moment. So I took it out and I stood up on a little block and I fired the stun gun into the air. And I said, behold, I control lightning with my hand. I am the wandering prophet. I am he who is sent from he who is called I am. You must give me free zucchini bread in the name of Jehovah. They had seen a stun gun before.
Oh.
And politely asked us to leave, but not before they allowed us to buy produce and baked goods at full price.
Oh, so they let you finish up your transaction and get the fuck out of there, is what basically what I'm hearing. Okay. Yeah, fair enough. At least they did that. At least they let you leave with your goods and not maybe a boot up the ass. So that was good.
I got zucchini. Well, I had a stun gun.
Well, you had a stun gun. I mean, fair enough.
You imagine if Yeti used a stun gun on an Amish person? Yeti, you would make the news. It's guaranteed. You would make the news with that.
Guaranteed.
In today's society, oh yeah, man.
They'd be like, see, we told you electricity was bad.
It's bad.
It hurts.
Jerks.
And it makes me piss myself.
Oh, man. Well, that's good.
It's been fun. It's been fun.
Good deal. Like I said, I've just been messing around with video editing, trying to learn a little bit more. This is all brand new to me, so it's fun. It's fun. It's time consuming, but it's fun. So there's a bit of that, and got our first video, like I said, up on YouTube. So if you go to YouTube and you search the Unbeknown podcast, you'll find our channel there. If you would, maybe go there, click the subscribe button, and ring that dong, that bell that's under the video that lets you know. Yes, ding the dong, ding that dong.
Dingle the dong.
There. Yes, get over there and jingle it. So make sure you do that so you know when we post those. It takes a few days to get it up sometimes. Sometimes there are things that need to be cleaned up and worked on. We're still trying to figure out a few things, or at least I'm trying to figure. I'm new to the game, so I'm trying to figure it all out. So, but anyways,
like blue pill.
What's that?
Sounds like it needs a blue pill.
Yes.
Said it takes time for it to get up.
Yeah, it takes a little bit of time.
It's trying to fucking be funny. Was that a bad joke?
You're hilarious, sir. It just hit too
close.
What
else?
It just hit too close to home, man. I'm getting old. No, I'm kidding.
You know what else is funny? Have you guys heard about the I think it's like 400,000 people have joined this Facebook event to go and raid Area 51.
I'm hearing it all sorts of things. Like my friends that have nothing to do with this stuff at all. That I felt like, oh, these people don't know what's going on. They're like talking about it now, and I'm like, now there's memes, you know. Yeah, I heard. Yeah, that's crazy.
The government keeps their secrets. There's signs posted all around there that they'll use deadly force if needed, and you know, I don't believe that they're going to go out with the intention to mow down a bunch of internet neckbeards. I mean, I'm sure there's some great people there, but it's just a fucking stupid. Like, I understand. I want to know. I want to know what's in there. I want to know what they're hiding from us. You know what I'm saying? I want some transparency because they can't hide this information from us forever. But at the same time, that's not how it's going to get done. What's going to happen is you're going to have maybe a couple hundred people out of 400,000 or whatever that signed up for the group. They're going to go out there, they're going to try to rush the fence. People are going to tell them to halt, and they're not going to halt. They're going to fire a warning shot, and that's not going to scare most of them away. And then they're going to spool up the fucking M60 on the side of the wall, and it's just going to churn blood and sand as far as the eye can see. And they're still going to...
I don't think so. I think what they'll do is they'll probably go out there. If it happens, if it gets to the point where there's actually people rushing, they'll have people, they'll get a lot of people out there just to physically manhandle them. I think that's my assumption. You know, not, you know, with the thought that none of those people that are rushing the fence or anything like that are going to have weapons. If they have weapons, then yeah, they'll probably, you know, get taken down. But if they're just regular old, you know, you and me, you know, running slowly across a field, they're just going to run out there and, you know, force me to the ground. I know that's for sure. At least in my case.
They're gonna fucking mollywop a few of them with nightsticks and shit.
And once they put their hands on me, that's when I'm gonna be like, oh, this is real. And
this is a bad idea.
I'm not doing this. I give up. I'll turn around.
Laying on the ground, tapping out. Like, I'm tapping.
I figure there's gonna be a lot of people that are just gonna be like, nah, this ain't even worth it. I ain't even gonna try this nonsense. Now, the guy that I guess supposedly kind of started the whole idea and whatnot, he's now put out a statement saying, hey, you know, FBI, government, I am not telling people to do this. I was joking. This is... Yeah, not on me, man. If people do this stuff, I don't want to be to blame. So
yeah,
well, it's a podcast, and it was just a dumb idea that come up, and now they're running with it. Like, we're gonna fucking do this.
Dumb ideas on podcasts. Let me think. Next
week. I mean, it's not outside the realm of possibility to think that the government would kill, you know, 1,000 something civilians just to keep their secrets. I mean, look what they did on 9/11.
Now that's a story for a different day.
Well, okay. I'm not a truther. I don't think that the government orchestrated it. I think they allowed it to happen.
There's definitely some very questionable things that happened when I looked into it and said, all right. Now, this is a very huge conspiracy. Now, the best thing about most conspiracies is, you know, to keep the pool of people that know very, very small. And this one would have been pretty large, and with all the leaks that go on now, this is a different time and age now with the internet and how things are now, and social media and how leaks are today. But still, I would be surprised if there weren't as many leaks about something as big and as heinous as the government doing that. Now, like I said, I don't put it down as a possibility, like saying that it never could have happened. I just find it very unlikely. Maybe that's, like I said, something that we could get into another day for sure.
Oh God, it would be like a series.
Yeah,
because there's a lot to unpack there.
There is. I mean, I've looked into it, and there is a ton. I
think it would be very interesting, though. We could possibly get people that was actually there to come on and talk to us if they want. That would be pretty cool, I think.
Yeah. I'm not opposed to it. I mean, you know.
How would you go about? I don't know. Well, that can be another definitely another few episodes.
Yeah, we'll look into that. So we got some stuff working though. Now that you kind of mentioned that, I think next week hopefully we will have a pre-recorded interview with a certain somebody that Jimmy has been in communications with. Is that right, Jimmy? Is that kind of the plan? We were trying to do that this week, right? But it just kind of...
Yeah, we're going to try to get a recording of it.
Logistics didn't kind of play out this week.
Oh, yeah. But,
these things happen.
Yeah.
So I want to go back to the idiots that are going to raid Area 51. I'm like, what if they was to somehow miraculously get past all the guns? What are they?
What are they expected to find?
Yeah. What if they do see what they're wanting to see, but yet get let down?
I mean, are they gonna see like, Men in Black style, like ridiculous underground alien, hub travel center thing kind of deal? Or are they gonna see like a guy that's sitting there saying, "I put files in the filing cabinet"?
Yeah, it's just old fucking retired military shit. It's
Playing
just
cards.
like, M1 brands and shit.
Yeah, it's just a big ass damn. Was it
We moved that shit long times ago.
The Moose Lodge.
Yeah.
It's just the government Moose Lodge or whatever.
They were
Everybody knows that all the secret shit is in Dulce Base.
Yeah,
underground.
We done moved that shit, man. All that shit that happened years ago. Y'all caught on to that? We moved that shit.
Yeah, they gonna get in there and they gonna look around like it's just gonna be a big ass empty damn place. And I'm like, motherfucker, done this for nothing.
Yeah.
Or they're gonna see the aliens that they think are, and it's gonna be like the one from Paul.
Yeah.
It's gonna be stoner aliens.
I was trying to watch my shows.
That'd be pretty fucking cool.
Aliens just in there blowing down as a fucking red-eyed Jedi.
Yeah, man. Bong hits, dabs. Oh, man.
You know, Klaxar, my family invented what they call the dab. Try this shit.
I know you used to live in Colorado, man. Maybe we can get some sponsors from some weed folks up there.
I could talk to some people, but, I ran in a different crowd, I think. My dude and bro game was not as lit as the others, I could say.
Yeah, it's a legit business over.
Oh no, it is. Oh yeah, I worked in the lab. We made
like companies that want to. Maybe they have some they could have a strain of Unbeknown.
Makes you see aliens. They let you talk to aliens.
Let you think about the unbeknown.
Yeah.
All the things that you don't, all these things that you think you know, but how about the things that you don't know that you don't know?
Yeah, there are known unknowns and unknown unknowns. There's stuff out there that you don't even know you don't know.
Yeah. Right? And that's why we got this show. No.
Yeah.
Be high to listen to this motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yes. Please do.
I endorse it for sure. I'm a huge proponent of legalization of every form, so do it. Just do it. Get it done.
Hell yeah.
But we live in the state that will be the last one to do it, so.
Oh yeah.
Kind of sucks.
Unfortunately.
But anyways.
So I hope everybody's fucking head is fully fed, because we're gonna get into some really interesting shit. I believe, and it kind of goes along surprisingly with what we've been talking about. I believe that the first step to accepting that we are not alone in the universe, the first step to believing that there's something more out there, is to understand that your government lies to you about small things and about large things. Are either of you guys familiar with what's called the Gulf of Tonkin incident?
I don't think I've heard of that.
Nah, I can't recall it.
The second Gulf of Tonkin incident is what spurred the Vietnam conflict. Now, there were supposedly two. It was an exchange between a communist submarine in an American vessel. The first one, they had picked up the submarines, and the submarine had fired, and they fired back. In the second Gulf of Tonkin incident, a submarine had fired a torpedo at an American vessel and missed, and they fucking just rained down hell on this submarine, wiped it out of the water, and on the strength of those hostile actions in the Gulf of Tonkin over in Vietnam, this is what spurred Congress to allow Johnson to pretty much declare war on Vietnam. The thing is that this isn't conjecture, this isn't rumor, it's not conspiracy theory, it's the truth. There's documents that were declassified by the NSA in 2005 that show that, one, the reports that Congress received and then worked from and released to the public were fucking false for the first Gulf of Tonkin incident, and they were widely inaccurate. The second Gulf of Tonkin incident did not happen. The American vessel expended shells into an empty waterway, claimed that it was attacking a Vietnamese sub, and on the strength of that lie, we were pulled into a pointless war that really fucking turned our country into the upside down for a while. That has nothing to do with aliens, but it's important to note that, in fact, the government will just fucking lie to you to get to, be able to do what they feel like they want to do. I mean, there was back when Kennedy was president, and there was this trouble with Cuba. The spooks came to him, came to JFK with a plan to run a false flag operation that would kill American civilians and blame it on Cuba. It's called Operation Northwoods. You can look it up. They would fucking blame they would kill Americans, blame it on Cuba, and use that as an excuse to exacerbate a conflict with Cuba to eliminate the missile crisis. And of course, Kennedy wasn't about that shit. He told them no, he struck it down, and then shortly thereafter he was killed. So these are just things to keep in mind. Now, to get to the meat of things, Project Bluebook was an Air Force intelligence program that ran from, let's see here, 1952 to 1969.
So let me just jump in there. So 69. Now our government's not doing that now, right? I mean, come on, they're not lying to us now, right?
Oh yeah.
No, I'm kidding. I just wanted to say that. Of course. No, the government definitely, if they're not lying, they definitely like to omit what they believe is not pertinent to the situation, of course. So, but I digress. Go ahead there, Yeti.
Okay. There were two goals to Project Bluebook. It was to determine if UFO phenomena represented a threat to national security, and to scientifically investigate what they could, what evidence they could of UFO phenomenon. So it wasn't to go out and find if UFOs are real. They worked from the supposition that something was happening and went to see if it was a threat to national security. Project Bluebook was the third of its kind. Before it came Project Sign and Project Grudge. The final report from Project Sign said that UFO sightings represented actual aircraft, but there was not enough data to be sure of its origin. So, like, literally unidentified flying objects. After Sign ended, Grudge came on. Grudge is what it sounds like. It was a fuck you to everybody who worked on Project Sign. They did very little research. Their goal was to debunk. And they did out of hand. They just fucking whatever came across, they didn't even investigate. They just debunked it. Project Bluebook was a much more even-keeled intelligence operation.
I can imagine the type of people that worked on Project Grudge. I can just see those types, just the still face and nope, this bullshit. No, I ain't having it. No, I hear you.
Now, while the final report from Project Bluebook stated that it said most of them were misidentifications of natural phenomena, clouds, stars, fucking swamp gas, whatever, conventional aircraft. There were like A-10s and U-2s that were experimental secret reconnaissance planes at the time. There was a lot of sightings of those because they were new technology at the time, and they were secret and they were being tested. So, there were sightings of those that got chalked up to UFO activity. And while they say that there was nothing that could be categorized as extraterrestrial, there was no threat to national security, and there was no evidence submitted to or discovered by the Air Force that sightings categorized as unidentified represented technological developments or principles beyond the range of modern scientific knowledge. The truth is that out of more than 12,000 UFO reports, most of them could be explained away as, misidentifications or even outright hoaxes, but there was a small percentage of them that are still unexplained.
Within the realm of some type of possibility, or in theory, as possible as those things can be in our minds and how we think about things today, or at that time even.
Yeah, there was no. They just kind of shrugged. They're like, I don't have any fucking idea, man. So they come to a point where they say one thing, but other things that they say kind of contradict that. Like, oh, there's nothing there. Well, fucking, there's no way that this could be of alien origin. There's no way this could be an extraterrestrial craft. It doesn't exhibit any kind of technology that we don't already have. But at the same time, they're saying we can't fucking explain some of this shit. So I don't know. It's kind of a head scratcher. Like, if you can't fully explain it, you can't tell me what it's not.
Of course.
Yeah. So this, like I said, it ran for, what was it, like 17 years. And it was just, they would get reports, because, for a long time when people saw UFOs, they would contact authorities. Because, that's just what you did at the time, And what I find really interesting about these early sightings, and there's even more recent stuff like the Phoenix Lights and stuff that people in droves just see. There's a really cool thing that happened within the purview of Project Bluebook. It happened during early July of 1952. So it's early in Bluebook. And it happened for a few nights where unidentified objects would buzz DC, the airspace around Washington, D.C. They were orbs of light that would appear and hover and zip around and hover some more. Just, crazy UFO shit. And there was always a few of them milling about the skies. But on July 19th, 1952, just before midnight, an air traffic controller at Washington National Airport, I think it's Reagan National Airport now, saw 7 unidentified blips on his radar. There's no registered aircraft in the area, and the blips were not following any discernible flight pattern. They were also seen to be moving in ways and at speeds that were unlike any aircraft, conventional or commercial or military. There was nothing out there from us or from the Ruskies or anybody that was doing this kind of shit. At the same time, people all around the city were seeing what appeared to be balls of light hovering in the sky and zipping off in random directions at high rates of speed before stopping to hover again. There was no slowdown. It was fucking speed and immediate stop. There were so many people calling the authorities to report the sightings that the city's telephone system crashed. Like the system was completely overwhelmed. That's how many people saw these things outside of the air traffic controllers. At the same time, at Andrews Air Force Base, airmen were tracking the same 7 blips, both on radar and visually. Around 3 a.m., just before, because there had been a lot of radio chatter between the Air Force Base and the guys in the tower at the airport, and also between the guys at Andrews Air Force Base and Newcastle up in Delaware, Newcastle Air Force Base. So they got to, for one reason or another, Andrews couldn't scramble jets, so they called in 2 Starfire jets from Newcastle and Delaware. Just before those 2 jets entered the airspace above Washington, D.C., all 7 of those lights in the sky and on the radar vanished. All at once. They all blinked out at once. Those 2 Air Force jets patrolled the airspace above Washington, D.C. for hours until their fuel reserves were so low that they only had enough to return to Newcastle. So in moments after they left airspace above DC, moments after these Starfire jets fucking removed themselves from the situation, the lights came back. They came back on radar. They came back in visual. And this is air traffic controllers. This is airmen at Andrews Air Force Base, and this is probably thousands of civilians who called this in. I mean, it's enough to make an analog switchboard system crash. What they gathered from what they had seen was that these craft, these balls of light, were monitoring radio chatter and reacting appropriately or in accordance to what they had heard. They knew the Starfires were inbound. They vanished, and as soon as they left the area, they came back. They were listening, they were watching, they were sentient. And
so go ahead, Jim.
They well, obviously, I guess they couldn't. What was it? I'm drawing a blank. What I'm trying to say. So you think they just turned off their lights, or they just like vanished out of the atmosphere that quick and came back and they were done? Or
there's I mean, they could have cloaked. They could have went above what radar can detect.
Yeah.
They could, and there's some people that believe that there's 2 kind of schools of thought with UFOs. There's one is the kind of nuts and bolts guys, like Dan Aykroyd. If you ever listen to Dan Aykroyd talk about aliens, which I fucking, anytime you get a chance to, oh god, it's so fucking cool just listening to him. He goes, as soon as he opens his mouth, it's a fucking rabbit hole. It's amazing.
But guys, check it out. I think Jimmy was telling me about it a few days ago.
Ufologist or whatever, is that what it's called?
Yeah, he's a ufologist. Yeah. But they're nuts and bolts guys. These are guys that believe that aliens are physically traveling through space in physical craft that come down, and they're nuts and bolts.
That all the rules of physics apply to them, other than the fact that maybe technology that they have might be able to, in our mind, defy those laws of physics. Is that kind of the mindset?
Yeah, they're so technologically advanced that they can travel light years at a time, or whatever.
Actually, coming out around that time, when they didn't have nothing like that, so definitely people were going to be mesmerized or whatever.
Oh, of course. I mean, we were just talking about the Amish and the stun gun, I mean, come on, these people would have been amazed by quite a bit. I mean, think about seeing like an LCD screen or an iPad at that point in time, how
It would have been
much that.
witchcraft.
Oh yeah, I've been like, this ain't right.
Right?
I'm being tricked some way by some form of diluting my perception or whatnot. So, but yeah.
The other school of thought is that they're not interplanetary beings so much as they are interdimensional beings.
That's what I was thinking about earlier, like the different plane type theory going on there.
And they come into our reality through thin spots. That's why you'll see a lot of UFO sightings localized in places like it's usually around big water sources, like up north around Thunder Bay, Canada, stuff like that. There's the Great Lakes. There's a lot of sightings around there. There's also sightings a lot in the southwestern United States in the deserts and stuff. There's got to be something to these localization of sightings where you'll have several sightings in one area due to whatever, but it seems like they'd be coming over through thin spots in reality, just kind of where two universes meet, and they find a way to pierce that and come through and travel back and forth at will. That's another possibility of what was happening, that they had found a bubble there and came through. And it could be that they were trying to take because it's Washington D.C. It's a place of power, not only of government power, but if you look at the layout of the city, there's some mildly arcane shit in the layout of the city.
Definitely.
So they could have purposely or accidentally fostered a thin spot in reality there.
I mean, let's also. We talk about aliens, and interdimensional, even perhaps even spiritualist, like from a different type of veil or whatnot. But I mean, could it also not be possibly, if you're in that mind camp of any kind of religious type thing or a battle going on that only we can see through a thin veil type thing? I like to give that a little thought, even though I'm not really on the religious mindset. I do like to at least keep that as a possibility, whether it's a known religion or an unknown. Perhaps it was something along those lines of a battle of quote unquote good versus evil, or one side versus another. I don't know. Or even, we've seen stuff in like the Marvel universe where I guess it was Captain, I don't know, whatever his name, Doctor Strange, in the battles that go on in that that bubble that you kind of were speaking of, where they kind of go into this different realm and battle it out, and even though they're doing stuff it might not affect, but in some cases it does affect reality. So I don't know. That's another kind of thought process that I wanted to throw out there, to not completely ignore the fact that it could be something of a religious nature as well, or spiritual.
It could be, and there's another kind of theory on it that it kind of ties into magical thinking in a way that I actually talked about this a little bit on the Horror Basement earlier today. The way there's when you look at magicians, you look at people who practice, oh god, this sounds douchey, magic with a K, not sleight of hand, but people who work magic. There's two kinds of magic. There's lesser magic, which is everyday. I believe that everything you do to better yourself and to further your goals in life, these are works of lesser magic. These are works of improving yourself through first focus, thought, and then action. But there's greater magic, which is worked in ritual, and there's a simple, like almost mathematical formula to it. It's will plus ritual equals reality. That's why you have these amplifying symbols in the it's called a psychodrama. It allows you to put your head into a whole different world of thought and to focus your thoughts in a different way that they can your brain magic energy can come out and change reality. So this theory kind of speaks to, you'll notice that a lot of people who see anything, cryptids, are believers. People who a lot of times the people who see these craft are at least open to the existence of. Very seldom do you hear somebody's like, I'm fucking complete non-believer, and then aliens showed up. You know what I'm saying? You don't ever really hear that about aliens or ghosts or cryptids, and it's because you're in this headspace where you allow, and especially for people who go out looking for it, you're in this headspace where you allow yourself to focus on wanting to see something, so you shift reality and you manifest that. So there could have been something like that going on. There's like a manifestation of reality.
Yeah, I understand that, and I could appreciate that kind of school of thinking as well. But, you know, one also would think that one that opens themselves up to that might be a little bit more inclined to misunderstand or perhaps want these things that aren't what they are to be what they want them to be.
Oh, yeah.
You know, in the sense of, you know, I know Jimmy was talking about it the other day, you know, certain shows that are out there that kind of, you know, have those people there, they're out in the woods and like, did you hear that? Did you hear? Oh, did you hear that? Oh, let's go. Oh, let's go. Oh, that was such and such of so and so, and they're doing this and that or whatnot. Jimmy, what was that kind of that situation?
I think it was called Mountain Monsters on Travel Channel.
Okay, and about how did that go?
Man, these motherfuckers are out there. There's this one guy where he's the leader or whatever, and he's obviously got a bunch of fucking morons. I don't want to call them morons.
You already did. Yeah, you can't take it back now. No takebacks.
Well, this guy's got them in the woods, and they got a bunch of crazy motherfuckers, and some that know how to build traps, and others that are trackers and all this stuff. But they're mainly hunters, and they're from West Virginia. But they have my daughter believing that they were really capturing all these creatures. Like there's a grass man. There's some kind of one that looks like a damn
Ohio grass man. Oh.
Yeah, and then there's one that is it's a half like dog type thing with the fucking lion head.
Man, you used to see those in the traveling shows, man. Where'd they go? They got to be out there somewhere, right?
Well, these motherfuckers from West Virginia are hunting them, and it seems like every show they're fucking catching or seeing these things, and it's
incredible.
Yeah, well, some of the stuff because the one that we just watched not too long ago. I think it was yesterday or the day before. They were in a cave for this one huge creature, and there'll just be little marks on the wall. It's nothing but they're like, you see them claw marks up there, and then they'll have 3 lines where it could have possibly, if it was real, where it was climbing up the walls or something. And one dude actually got it looked like he got drugged by something away from the other guys.
That's why it's hard to watch those, you know, me at least being a little bit on the skeptic side that I am, you know, with the shows that are like in the houses or in the cellars or in the you know, in the sewer system, and they got, you know, the night vision lights and on cameras and all that stuff, and they're walking through and, you know, they hear that creaking right there. Did you hear that? Did you hear that, guys?
That was perfect, Yeti.
Hell yeah!
You know, they got to be in here somewhere. Let's check the meter. And it's, you know, I don't want to completely throw out the possibility that, you know, there's something to it. But when you do it every show and every time, you know, they put together something, you know, there is something. I want them to go there and be like, yeah, nothing is happening here. Maybe I'm missing those episodes where it's like nothing.
No, they get everything every time. And if they would have heard that creak, whatever, just now, oh man, they'd have their guns pointed that way. They carry
Yeti. They after you, man.
These some bitches are crazy fuckers in the woods, and they'll just be like, there's one episode, I think it was where they was chasing the Ohio grass man, and it was going down this long little road between, you know, each side had woods on it, and I'm thinking the guy that was driving which is the guy, the leader, I can't remember his name. Trappers, I think his name. I think he just swerved and was like, "Did you see that?" You know, and they wrecked off to the
right
ditch.
at us.
Like someone threw something at him, and he's got these motherfuckers with him so on edge. Like he's got to be feeding them some dope or some shit, but or whatever.
They went out and saw the Ohio Grassman before they went.
they know that guy by name. Why are you trying to catch this dude? Y'all know where he is. Y'all know where he stay.
So they're
fire.
outside. They're in this thing called the side by side or a side by side, but it's a UTV, what it is. But they're outside of it and they got their guns pointing. It's like, watch your backs, guys, watch your backs. And man, it's like you got the damn heart pounding music and all this, and oh man, it's so intense. And my daughter is just sitting here, just like oh my god, Dad! And she's running like if I'm not in the room, she's running up to me and telling me what is happening. So she is truly vested in the show.
That's cute, though. Come on now.
So she wants to go on Instagram Live sometime and talk about it, but I would love to get her on there and let them talk like Trapper or something. And oh man,
let's put the call out for Trapper to come on the Unbeknown podcast. Get you on here so we can talk about these things you catching.
Yeah, like what are y'all smoking up there in West Virginia?
What's going on up there?
Did you break? Can you? If you ever hunt anything in Tennessee, holler at me. Let me get some of that fire.
Hell yeah. Yeti's like, I will go hunting anything with you if you got that damn fire.
Y'all been licking the funny stamps? Is that what's going on?
What if they're tripping on shrooms while they're hunting these monsters?
Legalized shroomage going on, man.
Oh,
get back
that's
out
a
to Colorado,
thing.
check it out.
No. Hey, when we put this podcast out, I'm tagging the motherfuckers in this.
All right, so Blue Book and back to DC. So they just never came up with an actual type of explanation. Did they just write it off as unsolved and unsolved?
Yeah, I believe that was one of those that was fell under the unexplained but totally not aliens, guys. Seriously, it's not aliens category.
Nothing of any kind of supernatural, but we don't know what it is. So it's
Yeah. But it's totes not aliens, guys.
Totes not totes.
Oh, that's so cray, y'all.
So
this podcast is lit.
So yeah, right. So and then that shortly after that they had closed it down, or was that before? Because I thought you said
this
was 52 was when the incident happened, right? Or no?
Yeah, 52 was right after the beginning of the DC incident. Was right after the beginning of Blue Book, and this it went on for 17 more years of 12,000 different incidents, like fucking tens and thousands of reports. That's one thing that you'll find. Like a lot of the older reports are corroborated by several people. I mean, there's some pretty famous sightings. It's just one or two people, like Benny and Betty Hill. They're one of the first recorded abductees. This was a little bit before Blue Book's purview, but you'll notice that a lot of them though are just like, at least a couple dozen people will see this shit and report it. So there's just like years and years and years of this stuff, and that was just one of the bigger ones in Blue Book. There's, I mean,
so
it's deep.
Yeah, it sounds like, I mean, it's all out there. Just quickly, looking here aside, I kind of checking out the Project Blue Book Wikipedia, and I see here, Project Blue Book in fiction and how it's kind of been portrayed. I found it funny because I'm a Battlestar Galactica or whatever, the Battlestar Galactica of the 1980s. Every episode ended with a short statement about the U.S. Air Force's 1969 Project Blue Book findings that UFOs are not proven to exist. So they weren't proven not to exist, but they were not proven to exist and are not a threat to national security. So people watching this back in 1980 on Battlestar Galactica and all those Star-Lord and all that kind of stuff. To ease their tensions, they had to put that disclaimer out there. So I found that kind of amusing. Battlestar Galactica, the new one, was badass. I don't know if you haven't seen that, guys. That's an interesting show to watch with a really good ending. Most shows, series, I won't mention any names, end very poorly after a long, drawn-out stint. But Battlestar Galactica, it's pretty good.
Like Lost?
I wasn't gonna name any names. Maybe ones that are kind of in the current zeitgeist might be brought up, but I'm not gonna mention any names.
I would say that some series in the current zeitgeist ended well in theory.
Or well
in
enough.
Execution, they came lacking. Like maybe, I don't know. Just pulling an example out of thin air, I would say that maybe the final season could have been 2 full seasons and could have really dug into a lot more things. But in theory, it was a satisfying ending for what we were given.
Well,
but
fall into that category where they're great for what they are while you're watching them, but then they don't end so well. Battlestar Galactica, the reboot, was actually ended very well. And it might be something that I bring up in the future. Kind of has a little bit of that Scientology kind of feel to it, and what has happened in the past is bound to happen again. The loop and all that kind of, it's crazy stuff. But it was very entertaining in the end, which I'm always thankful when a show ends very well. So, but just kind of looking it over there, I can go ahead and kind of. Anything else?
I saw, when I was trying to pull a little bit of research for this, I saw that there was I think it's on the History Channel, because of course it is. It's like a fucking television series about Project Bluebook. Apparently it's about an investigator who goes out and looks into different alien cases or whatever. I don't know. I didn't really look at it, but it did kind of bring into mind, like, for instance, Men in Black are a entity that people like UFO enthusiasts and stuff they'll talk about. Like, if you see something that you maybe shouldn't have seen, or you may get a visit from the Men in Black, and it'll just be some guys that look kind of weird. They're hairless, fucking sallow, pale beings in black or gray suits that don't fit all that great, telling you maybe you shouldn't fucking talk about aliens anymore. There's an interview with Dan Aykroyd out there somewhere where he talks about he was shooting a show. He was doing interviews and stuff. It was a show about UFOs, and he was talking to experts and this and that and the other thing, like experts within the field and stuff, and eyewitnesses and this, that, and the other thing. And he was outside to have a smoke, and he saw a couple of Men in Black in their car, and they just fucking dead eye staring at him. And after he finished his phone call and his smoke, his producer came out and was like, "We got to get out of here within the next hour. We've been canceled." So it's like, the inference there was that the Men in Black somehow worked their way into influencing people more powerful and shut down the show because there was too much information getting out. But what most people think of when you say Men in Black is Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones fucking using noisy crickets and neuralizers and erasing people's memories and shit, and it being just a fun, family-friendly romp through fucking suppressing alien memories. And I think what like stuff like this is it's it's a way of cultivating these pieces of art, these films and TV shows in such a way that they devalue the reality of what's really going on. Like the Men in Black, you have this sinister force to silence witnesses and stuff, And but now it's just a fun family romp through fucking New York with a Michael Jackson alien and shit. You know, and the aliens invented Velcro. And you know, and that's what people think of now when they think of Men in Black. So then you put out this fucking Project Blue Book TV show, and you know it gets some buzz. And the next thing you know, when somebody talks about Blue Book, people don't think about fucking 17 years of investigation into UFO phenomenon and the fact that they couldn't conclusively state that aliens don't fucking exist. They think about a show on the History Channel that was fiction. And that's how they fucking control our minds from afar. Subtly, like Inception.
Man, I'm just kind of digging in here, you know, looking at some of the stuff written about Project Blue Book. It looks like currently, and I hadn't been watching a lot of television. I ain't gonna lie. I'm gonna go ahead and throw that out there right now. It's either computer games or other kinds of nonsense podcasts and whatnot. But it looks like the History Channel is airing a Project Blue Book type show. Started in January of this year. I don't know if Yeti, were you familiar or aware of that, or I don't know if you come across one.
I saw it.
I used to watch,
but I didn't watch it.
I used to watch all sorts of stuff on the History Channel but here lately the History Channel had disappointed me, and I hadn't even signed up for any kind of television programming in the last year or so. So, but I wasn't aware of that. Just kind of funny if anybody's interested in kind of following up more, and you know they just want to sit around the house and watch television. You can look out for the History Channel's Project Blue Book, set your DVRs, all that kind of fun nonsense. But while we take a break, quick moment here, I'm going to go ahead and we can hear from our sponsors. Does that sound good to you guys?
Yeah, sounds good.
Looks like we're having some technical difficulties. I don't know what happened there, but
don't say.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what happened. But anyways, if you are interested in being a sponsor, because we don't have any sponsors, the bit on that whole thing is it's sponsored by no one. And if you are by chance interested in being a Patreon donor, you can look us up on Patreon, _Unbeknown, and we would appreciate any kind of donations if you are able to. $1 a month would be great. That would help us out tremendously in trying to get stuff up and running. To better the podcast. So just want to throw that out there. Maybe next week I'll have that fixed. I don't know what happened there. Worked just fine last time. What the hell? What the hell, man? I'm telling you.
We got the point across. Yeah. Hey, it's the Man in Black fucking us up.
Yeah. They're like, yeah, you can't. Y'all don't need to get any better. Draw attention to this. That's what it is, guys.
Hell yeah.
That's what we're doing.
Or you can buy the Unbeknown podcast T-shirt.
So, yeah, like I said, I'm planning on getting one here soon. Throwing that on, have it on here soon. Looking all buff and whatnot, because that's what I look like.
Still working on
audio listeners that are out there. If they're not checking out our YouTube channel, which is the Unbeknown podcast. You check that out. Make sure you're viewing that. Make sure you're liking. You're ringing that dong, dinging that dong out there. All right, guys. So we talk about Project Blue Book, man. That was very interesting. We know that they were looking into it, at least putting time, effort, money into investigating this, which I guess in some reality, I guess we should appreciate that, right? I mean, they're wanting to know if there's something out there that could be of any kind of threat to the people here in our fine, beautiful nation. So, right, we should be a little bit thankful for that, but they weren't very forthcoming on it, and that's kind of how it all comes down to, and as we're aware, the government sometimes doesn't like to let people know everything all up front.
They only tell us what they think we should hear.
It's only if it's pertinent. So, but Project Bluebook, quite any closing thoughts on that, guys? On what we've heard today, or what Yeti's explained and passed on the knowledge.
Well, yeah, kind of. Well, actually, kind of going. I watched a TV show on Travel Channel called Paranormal, Caught on Camera or something like that. I don't know if it's the deal with the then, but it does show a lot of video of like unidentified or UFOs flying over like the Pentagon and stuff. So I guess it kind of would relate to that, right?
Yeah.
But I guess if they're flying over the Pentagon and it's real, you think they're just trying to gain knowledge of what we might be doing with our defense or whatever?
It could be, or it could be that they're flying in low or flying near the Pentagon to get a better reception on communication, because, I mean, it's been theorized that our government's been working with extraterrestrial species for decades.
Yeah.
I mean, some would have that debate that some of these entities that could be, sighted or whatnot, are here to help or, guide us in that sense. I've heard that kind of argument. So maybe they're checking up just to make sure. Reminds me of like the Star Trek episode with the duck blind and Next Generation, of course, with the duck blind, keeping up with this, I think they were in like the Middle Ages, bow and arrows, all that kind of nonsense. But anyways, they were kind of just keeping up with them, and then the duck blind went down, and one of the guys got knocked out, and Data got out. It's a whole bunch of nonsense. But anyways, just making sure that everything's good and studying us. Maybe we were what they were. We are what they were a long time ago. So I don't know. That's just one of those other kind of debates that are had.
What's for sure is that they're not gonna. Those in power are not going to give us the information that they have for one reason or another. And honestly, a question that keeps coming up for me is like, are we ready?
That's the other thing. That's the other thing, especially with, there are the debates on the people that, are still stuck on a more religious or, that kind of spiritual mindset, in that maybe the knowledge of there being things outside of, I don't know, personally, if I found out that there were, aliens or whatnot, that would improve my thought that, hey, I didn't know that. That was unknown. What else do I not know? Maybe there are things that are still, possible, but we just don't have the knowledge of. But I don't know. Some are afraid that I think maybe that would destroy that pillar of society for some people. I don't know.
I believe it would.
You think so?
For some people.
Was that on what was that movie you were talking about there, Jimmy? Was it Paul?
Yeah, Paul.
Where the girl was very religious, but then it kind of, I don't know, it shook her with the whole.
Yeah, he put his hand on her head and showed that that I guess they were saying that it wasn't created. It wasn't created by man or by God. It was, or something by no. What he said was, if we're
like science
God
and whatnot,
real, something about if God was real and he created y'all in his image, and how do you explain me? And he's just a little alien.
I don't know. I think a good apologist could definitely fight that whole line of argument. So I will at least say that much.
A good apologist can stick their head in the sand to any argument.
Yeah, of course. That's what they're there for. That's the goal. That is their job. And I can't. I mean, maybe in times I've been upset with them and understood that it's all hogwash and bullshit and whatnot. But then again, hey, whatever. Teach their own. I like to see
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I mean, it's
I
fine.
love the movie though. That's just an awesome movie.
Yeah. But yeah, man, it's all fascinating takes and whatnot. But I'm glad we got to talk about it. I'm glad we're able to talk about it. And keep in mind, any viewers out there that are watching this, listening on the podcast, you can talk about it too. We're the show that allows you to either email us in and either share your story that way, or we could have you on the show as part of the show, either through a recorded spot, or have you on live through our Skype username, the Unbeknown podcast. So
Yeah.
we're still working on how to get that completely cleared up and have no technical issues in the future, but definitely something that we're gonna want to implement even more so in the future, where people can call in, give their stories, give their takes. If you're on, watching us on YouTube, make sure that you're, commenting down below, letting us know what you think about it, or what maybe we've gotten wrong. What you think is a better way of describing these things. Let us know. Drop a like, drop a dislike. It's all the same, right? No, but yeah, make sure you're checking us out on YouTube. Make sure that you're tuning back in on Saturday nights at 7 p.m. Central Time. At twitch.tv, the_unbeknown. Make sure you're doing that. Make sure you're coming back and then letting us know. But we'd love to have you as part of the show. We'd love to have you as a listener to the podcast as well. Guys, any parting words, any kind of shout outs, any plugs? You're talking about, keep in mind we're a member of a podcast coalition network. Give us a little
Horror Podcast Network.
Was that one more time?
TN Horror News Podcast Network.
And what do you guys do on there as far as podcasts that y'all kind of cover? I know Yeti, I think you just worked on one today. Was that correct?
Yeah, me and Jimmy and our buddy Johnny, we do the Horror Basement. We talk, we have a movie of the week, and then we have two other topics. Sometimes they meld into the movie of the week. Sometimes we just talk about news or whatever we feel like talking about that's interesting. It's not a serious podcast. It's really laid back. There's three really different perspectives on movies there, so we we have a good time. It's horror and more, and a little sense of humor. Then we've got it's a horror podcast, and they do
like 5 of their favorite horror movies of each subgenre of horror. We got Wes and Kevin that host that show.
And you guys have done like on the road type events as well, I think, from what I kind of viewed as well.
Yeah, that's on our YouTube channel. It's THN on the road. That's when we cover movies that we premiere or screen at Full Moon Cineplex, or like the most recent one was when we was on set for Deadlines, which me and Johnny are in that movie, and other Tennessee Horror News members. Deadlines, a vampire movie. It's coming out next year. Me and Johnny was detectives in it, and first time being in a film, and man, it is pretty crazy to see that be made in front of you.
How you see the sausage being made, how all the work and time to go in, hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of work, and then it's anywhere between like a 15-minute to 2-hour type presentation.
Yeah, the crazy thing is, me and Johnny, we only had like 2 or 3 lines, and it took us over an hour because they don't have the luxury, because it's indie horror, of having multiple cameras, so they have to set up for multiple angles, close-ups, and all that stuff. So, like if there's a clock on the wall, every time that clock has to be reset if it's in the scene.
Oh so, yeah, I didn't think about that. Yeah, those are the things that would definitely show up in my movies if I ever made any. Whatever, it all works.
But yeah, it's definitely interesting to watch it be made, and you know we that's what THN on the Road covers. Is we got to interview some of the actors and the directors, and I think one episode before that we was at Dread Hollow in Chattanooga, a haunt there. So we try to cover all kinds of stuff when we get to go on the road and everything. And we actually got to do a premiere of Death Breed at Full Moon Cineplex, which is Ben and Stacy's movie, and it was also the premiere of what was it?
They were screening the same night. They were screening Return to Nukem High Volume 1. Lloyd Kaufman was there.
Yeah, Yeti got to fanboy over Lloyd Kaufman.
Yeah, I've done a ton of interviews, and I've been super nervous twice. One was when I interviewed Lloyd Kaufman, because I did it sober. It was dumb. Lloyd is a personal hero of mine. He's just an amazing voice for not just horror movies and fucked up movies, but for truly independent filmmaking in general. He's such a sweet man. He's so free with his time. And I mean, Lloyd Kaufman's just a gem. And another time that really had me nerved out was we interviewed the great and powerful Joe Bob Briggs, and I had a little case of the nerves there, but that was fun.
Good deal. Now, and Yeti, you have a a column, correct? That you do weekly.
Yeah, usually it's weekly. Sometimes fucking life gorilla dicks me, and I don't get one out. But I'm head writer at Tennessee Horror News, and I try to do Fucked Up Fridays every week. I watch extreme horror, disturbing movies, just like super gory stuff. Recently, I did Nico B's Pig. I've done Men Behind the Sun. We talked about that a little bit last week.
We had a discussion on that. That was fascinating. Not a movie I would check out, but
oh yeah, most of them probably aren't. Like Serbian film, I've revisited that twice now, and really gave it the love it deserves. Films like Martyrs, just things that'll fucking either really gross you out or take a piece of your soul with you when you watch it. I try to do that once a week, and then sometimes I'll work in a movie and it sucks and I don't want to write about it. So, these things happen, but usually every week, Fucked Up Fridays is a thing. Like I said, I do reviews, I do some articles and stuff there on Tennessee Horror News. I also write for a site called The Dead Walk Online. That's thedeadwalk.org. We're over there. We do more of we're more focused on exploitation films, old school zombie movies, splatter films, stuff like that. Like kind of a grindhouse site. For people who like the shit kind of on the fringes of horror. I'm a managing editor over there. So, I mean, we've got a really great team. We got a great team at Tennessee Horror News. Check out both sides. Check out TN Horror News for independent horror, for new stuff that's coming out, for deep cut fucked up films. And check out The Dead Walk for some Fulci, some Romero, and a little bit of maybe some Eitenbach if you're into that. It's good times.
Hey, and I forgot to mention that THN on the Road will actually be, I think it's September in West Virginia, right? We'll be at the Mothman Festival. So get to see an episode. Festival. Yeah, so that goes in perfect with this. So we'll try to get some interviews, and maybe we can get a live on there, or I can have it or something, whatever.
You'll figure it all out. Well, yeah. So I mean, things are going on. Me personally, this podcast, of course, working on it, doing things, trying to get it better. Like I mentioned before, you could check out our Patreon if you're able, willing. You're have the money and the resources to do so to help us out, to improve. You can check us out on Patreon, The Unbeknown Podcast, Unbeknown, The Unbeknown, something along those lines. It should be in the description down below. On YouTube, I'm drawing a blank on it right now. Don't have that information. My spot broke. I don't know what.
On our YouTube page, I got it in the right corner where you can click it if you're on the regular internet, not a phone.
Cool deal. Excellent. Good deal. Well, we got that, and I'm here soon. Hopefully, going to be doing a little bit more of my gaming stuff. I don't know if people are aware, but I'm a PC gamer. I do all sorts of gaming. I'm starting up a channel, working on a channel. It's called Geo's Musings. You can find that on YouTube as well. If you're willing and able, you can hit the subscribe button there and check out when I put out any new videos. I play all sorts of games. I have all sorts of takes. Not yet, but I'm getting there. This is kind of, a work in progress on that, but just something that I do as well outside of the Unbeknown podcast. But with all of that being said, I would like to thank everybody that's tuned in, the viewers that are on Twitch right now, and any people that are checking us out on YouTube as well. Don't forget the podcast. Our podcast is on all of your favorite podcast providers, SoundCloud, it's on
iTunes,
the whole Spotify. We're everywhere that you
look for us in your grocer's freezer.
Yeah, check us out there. But yeah, so we're all around. But we'd like to thank you for tuning in, and hope you do so next week. Like I said, we're not going to have a live show next week in the sense that we have been having the past 2 Saturdays. Next week, Jim Jam's going to be celebrating a birthday. He's got some parties planned that weekend, so we'll be checking that out, seeing what's going on, throwing a bash. And I don't think we're going to be in a state to do a podcast at that point. But hopefully the plan is to have a recorded show available for you next week, same time, same place, 7 p.m. Central Time on twitch.tv. Look up the Unbeknown, the place that you might be watching it right now. But if you're listening on the podcast, but check that out. Hopefully the topic of that show will be time travel. Time travel and how it's been portrayed in all forms of media, the different types of theories and how it kind of works, which is extremely fascinating to me. I think that's maybe my go-to thing. I love time travel and how it's been portrayed and how I think it would all play out. So hopefully we'll have that up next week, and then the following week we'll probably be talking a bit more about time travel. So we hope that you all check that out. Guys, you got any final words?
Just appreciate y'all checking us out.
The government's lying to you. The truth is out there.
Project Bluebook.
Yes, and leave.
All right, guys, and we'll see you all next time. If you're watching live on Twitch, stick around for the post-show. But before we do that, let's see if this spot will work.